Morning out there.
Recording in
My name is James Harper. It's always wonderful to be here with you at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Welcome to those of us in our physical space and our digital space online. If it's all right with you, we're going to keep the energy up and keep the music flowing. Let's go. I'm going to need some help with this next one. So if you know it, sing along. There was a time in my life thought I had to do it all by myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say if you are discouraged, struggling through just to make it through another day, yeah. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it all go. And this is what you got to say. 1, 2. I'll release and I let go. That's right. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. And I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Can we put our hands together a little bit? I release and I let go. That's right. Let the Spirit run my life. Yes. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, oh, oh. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. And I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. And I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Yes. Oh, I love the tinkling of the keys at the end again. Let's hear that. I love it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And a good morning and welcome to our musician, James Harper, today. So fabulous to have him with us as we're in-house today at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. A big welcome to all of you who are here with us in person, as well as to those of you that are joining us online via Zoom and Facebook. And of course, a huge hello and welcome to all of you that will be joining us at a later date through our YouTube channel. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. It's Sunday morning, October 23rd in the year 2022. And so wherever you are today, may you also be not just physically present, but present in your mind and in your heart and in your soul as we come together to awaken to our spiritual magnificence, as we awaken to the opportunity to anchor ourselves into a greater understanding of who we are as divine beings. Here at CSL-LA, we practice primarily the teachings, the philosophy, the faith known as the science of mind. It's a philosophy, faith, and way of life that was compiled by Dr. Ernest Holmes at the turn of the 20th century. And it is a result of his compilation of what at the time he believed all the great spiritual philosophies and religious orientations, and taking all of that and bringing it together in a way that provides the individual the opportunity to find personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. That unfolds because one understands, you, I, and all that choose to awaken to their magnificence in the way of realizing and accepting in this philosophy that there's only one power in the universe. It's not two, there's one. Think about that for a second. One power in the entire universe. Because our understanding of the universe is getting bigger and bigger and broader, and still only one power. And one of the things that I found so intriguing and intoxicating and inviting about this teaching when I came into it in the early 1980s is that you and I are that power, individualized. And we use it through our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, our reactions, our interactions with life itself. And as we do that consciously, our life changes. And it changes because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law, meaning that there are laws or a law in the universe that responds to our thinking, acting, believing, reacting, and interacting with life itself. And just like gravity itself, this law of life is impersonal, meaning that it works the same for you as it does for me, meaning this works the same for a feather as it does to an asteroid. So today, let's choose to awaken to a greater understanding. You liked that, right, Lenore? A feather or an asteroid. You know, there was a joke behind it, and I just moved right on. So, you had one too, right? So, what that means at the end of the day is that we have the ability to change our life by changing our thinking. And so today, we not only all come together to change our thinking, but we also come together to awaken to the power that exists within us. The qualities that exist in this power as us that we believe include peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. And so today, if we tune into just one of those in a way that evokes a greater understanding for us, then life indeed shall get better. You think that's possible and true, James?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys all up for that?
Yes.
Cool. Well, let me have a little sip of water. Happy to be here. You all happy to be here?
Yes.
Oh, I poured bubbly water this time. That was good. So we're going to open our service, as we oftentimes do, with a ritual. And on behalf of the Board of the Trustees, it's my honor and privilege to welcome you here today. It's a joy to come together again in person. It's been about 6 weeks since we've been in person. Our next one, I believe, is November 13th. But each and every time that we do come together in person, it's such a joy and a heart-opening experience to be able to look into each other's eyes and feel the power and the presence of the thing itself. Over the last few years, we've done a ritual called Calling in the Light. And I've adapted that ritual for our in-person services to be called Setting the Intention. One of the things that we have here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles is a rich 30-year history. And so today we honor that 30-plus year history and choose to know the importance and the power of being present in every moment, giving rise to setting the foundation of what is to come, and then remember that we each play a vital role in the co-creative process. And we do that by setting our intention as to the possibilities that can be made manifest. The great Deepak Chopra tells us that inherent within the seed of possibilities, and I've got that all wrong. That's not what Deepak says. What he says is inherent within the seed of intention is the fulfillment of its desire. So, we light our candle today. James, can we have some piano music underneath, please? We light this candle today, letting the flame of the candle be representative of the light that exists within each and every one of us. And as we light it, we set the intention of a bright future for us individually and collectively as a community. I'd like to remind us of the foundational principles written by Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy, faith, and way of life and teaching. These principles were originally published in the first issue of the Science of Mind magazine in 1927. They're known as the Declaration of Principles. I invite you to hear them today as if you're hearing them anew. Each time I speak them, they resonate in my soul as spiritual truth, and they remind me of the times in my life where I heard them for the first time, the times when I've heard them during my ministerial ordination, the times that I was honored to become a practitioner in this teaching. And I know that for myself, each and every time I hear them, I meet them where I'm at in consciousness, because that's the way it works. And so today I invite you to honor where you are in consciousness in your life. Accept yourself as you are, and then meet and greet these principles in a new way. They are this, and they're written in the we. Feel free to accept them in the I am. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. For the manifest universe is the body of God. It's the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the individualization of the Spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe that the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that this power, God, is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone can become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that the universal Spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick and control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all, for we believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny. For we understand that the life of all is God. I invite you to close your eyes and let James guide us through a chant of "O Holy Light," beginning to see within your own mind's eye the light of this candle, which is also the light of the divine within you and within me.
Perfect health. I am perfect health. I am perfect health. I am perfect health. I am one with God. I am strength and love. Strength and love. I am strength and love. I am one with God. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am one with God. One more holy light. I am
is. So it is. Ah, feels good to get anchored into the presence of the divine, right, James?
Amen.
It's so good to see you. You had a good time away. You were away for the summer, I know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, lots of traveling, lots of creative times, very fulfilling time. So great to be around people again. I can't tell you how much I miss that. That's
Right. Well, you are a natural-born performer who has oodles and oodles and oodles of talent. So, yeah, right? Everybody, you guys all agree? So, and everyone loves having you with us, and I certainly do.
I
So.
just love sharing music with y'all. So
Well, it's so good to have you in person, and we also have been accustomed to having you online and seeing your backdrops and all of your musical stuff around you. So, but it's so good to have him today. I know the next song that you're about to do for us is one that I would venture to say that most people in the room have a very deep personal connection with.
Yes.
I'm assuming you do as well.
yes.
Right?
Yeah, I grew up listening to this. My mom would play it on the radio, and when you're a kid, it doesn't really hit in the same way.
Well, many of us in the room listened to it as kids when it was first released.
Yeah.
So, what's the title of it?
It's called Landslide.
So you've heard the Stevie version, the Dixie Chicks version. Here's the James Harper version.
Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around. And I saw my reflection in a snow-covered hill. The landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changes of inside? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Oh, well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes bolder, children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I took my love and I took it down. If you climb a mountain and you turn around, if you see my reflection in a snow-covered hill, you know the landslide brought me down. You know the landslide brought me down. I've been afraid of changing 'cause I build my life around you. The time makes bolder, children get older, and I'm getting older too. Yes, I'm getting older too. I'm getting older too. I took my love and I took it down. If you climb a mountain and you turn around, if you see my reflection in a snow-covered hill, the landslide brought me down. You know the landslide brought me down. You know the landslide brought me down. Thank you.
Compelling and beautiful and touching. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. The lyrics, "So I'm getting older," does that resonate with anyone? Yeah. Is it freaking you out? Is that the big question? So sometimes, right? Sometimes not. It's kind of the nature of nature. You know, our theme this month is the transformational nature of nature, and it's I know that's possibly why you picked that song, because of the landslide. A landslide is definitely nature doing its thing.
Really just about the deeper concept too. To me, it's acceptance of the changes and feeling empowered in those changes.
Oh, that's so true, and how that's exactly what I'm speaking about today. You're about to hear more of that. So I'll begin with a little story. So Moses, I'm sure has been spoken about in this room, Jesus, and an old man are golfing. Moses steps up to this, good open already, right? Moses, Jesus and an old man are golfing. Moses steps up to the tee and hits the ball. It goes sailing over the fairway and lands in the water trap. Moses parts the water and chips the ball onto the green. Jesus, being the dude that he is, steps up to the tee and hits the ball. It goes sailing over the fairway and lands in the water trap. So, doing what the dude does, he walks on the water and chips the ball onto the green. Now, the old man steps up to the tee and hits the ball. It goes sailing over the fairway and heads for the water trap. But just before it falls into the water, a fish jumps up and grabs the ball in its mouth. As the fish is falling back down into the water, an eagle swoops down and grabs the fish in its claws. The eagle flies over the green where a lightning bolt shoots from the sky and barely misses it. Startled, the eagle drops the fish. When the fish hits the ground, the ball pops out of its mouth and rolls into the hole for a hole-in-one. Jesus turns to the old man and says, "Dad, if you don't stop fooling around, we're not going to bring you next time." Oh, it was all worth it for Lenora's laugh. So what was really happening in that moment? Well, obviously we know that nature was doing its thing, but in metaphysical terms, let me say that again, in metaphysical terms, good was making itself known. Opportunity in that moment was everywhere, and nature was transforming right before G's and his peeps' very eyes. What was really happening was the transformational nature of nature was happening, and one might say at a very, very high level. But the truth is that type of good, that type of transformation, that type of opportunity is always making itself known for us, through us, around us, if we're willing to open to it. It requires us to be open to the multitude of good that's going on around us and through us, and not get caught up in the machinations of what's going on in this everyday world and what's happening right before us, looking at it from a myopic perspective. What's important for us is to open our mind and, more importantly, know our mind and to know ourselves. Over the last few weeks, I've been speaking to us in regards to this topic of the transformational nature of nature, to us in regards to those elements of knowing our mind and tuning into where we are on that journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, about constantly and continually fine-tuning our awareness of who we are as divine beings. I'm going to repeat for us today, as I have in the last few weeks, of the template that we've been using for the stages of our spiritual awakening as prescribed by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith. And the stages are to me, by me, through me, and as me. The first stage in our spiritual awakening is the victim stage. In this stage, we're in a victim consciousness, feeling disenfranchised from the world, from opportunities and what we've inherited from the universal presence. And I want to put this in a context for us that this spiritual awakening, this evolution that we all have as individuals and collectively as a species, is always unfolding for us at the macro level, meaning that as beings of light, beings of the species of life itself, we are always evolving into a greater expression of ourselves as beings of the one mind of God. But it's also happening for us at the micro level. It's that moment where someone steps out in front of us on the road when we're driving and we have a reaction to that, or we walk out of the house like I did a couple of days ago and like, where's my keys, right? And I had left them in the house, and then 2 days later I had my keys with me and I went to get back in the house and I was somewhere and I decided I wanted to clean out the front passenger seat of my car and threw everything in the trash and threw the keys away, right? It's that micro level of, is life happening to me, or am I trusting that eventually lightning might strike and the fish may drop, and when the fish may drop, it hits the ground, and when it hits the ground, the ball may roll into a hole in one. A metaphor, obviously. But where are we at in this evolutionary process of the spiritual awakening stages? The second, which many of us are all at times in our life, and sometimes maybe the baseline for where we're at in life, is the second stage called the manifester stage. It's the by me stage. It's a more masculine approach to life. It's where we are consciously and intentionally planting those seeds of intention. It's where we're living life from the perspective of using our mind to co-create exactly what we want in life and to respond and react to that if it's not what we want, to co-create the next thing. It's using our creative imagination and visualization in the highest way that we know possible at the time. We have wonderful conversations in life, and we keep our attention high to create a vibrational match of that which we would want to manifest. It's that old school ideology of, I can use my mind to co-create a parking space. And that's the highest you ever get, right? Or a new job, or fill in the blanks. The next is the third stage, which is choosing to be more feminine, to be a channel for the divine itself. It's realizing that there's more to life than just manifesting, and it's not moving away from manifestation, step two, it's building upon that to a higher level of consciousness where we then have such an inner subjective belief that exactly what we desire in life is moving towards us, in us, through us, if we but open to it, but also then understanding that there is a higher way of life to live, that it's about surrendering to the power itself. In this stage, it's understanding that the universe by nature is progressive and that something wonderful is always trying to happen. And if we would but yield to it, surrender to it, and give over to it, then life itself works differently. And the fourth and final stage of spiritual awakening, according to this plan, is the oneness stage. It's as me. It's in this stage, the highest consciousness that there is where there is a line of wherever there would have been of separation is completely dissolved, and we feel and know our oneness with all of life, and there is no filter whatsoever. Now, personally, I think for most of us, as we navigate our human journey from a divine perspective of the everyday life that we have before us, our best intention would be to live in stage three to the best of our ability. To live as what was happening in the golf course, in the zone, that zone of goods coming through us, happening through us, right? We're always playing with the divine itself and the divine energy within us in a way to say, yeah, baby, seduce me. Take me on a journey that is reflective of my innate nature of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. It's an understanding that we are here to be the receptor to possibilities being turned into realities, and that happens through a spiritual awakening. And that as that unfolds, we embrace that good as it comes and let it go, opening ourselves back up again to the next spiritual awakening. And so it goes on and on and on. and on. And as this on and on and on and on and on is unfolding, we are allowing ourselves to move into a different realm of consciousness, ultimately being a conscious co-participant in creating the experiences that we desire. And as those experiences show up, they reflect back to us an understanding and acceptance of the mindset that we now have, ultimately opening up to be a conscious co-participant in more of the experiences we desire. Turning possibilities into realities through a spiritual awakening. Well, what is a spiritual awakening? To spiritually awaken is to remember that who and what you are and always have been is the infinite, immortal sea of consciousness, one with all that exists. Let that sit there for a second. One with all that exists. And for that to be a remembrance, not as an intellectual understanding, but as a real and tangible experience and lifestyle. A real, tangible experience and lifestyle of literally being tuned in to those possibilities becoming real because of you remembering and knowing who you are. That's a big idea, by the way, but it's one that can bring great joy because it's so fertile and rich within its spiritual truth. I love this text that went out this week on our daily text for the day, and hopefully you're all getting them, from Greg Braden, and I opened it with this statement, today let's get stimulated. And the quote is, according to Bohr and Heisenberg, who are physicists, the universe exists as an infinite number of overlapping possibilities. They're all there in a kind of quantum soup with no precise location or state of being until something happens to lock one of the possibilities into place. Imagine that we're each moving through life, literally and figuratively, energetically, and there's a quantum soup that we're moving in, and as we consciously and consistently and purposely and purposefully and intentionally align our consciousness with our divine nature of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. Imagine what we're then attracting into our world. And what these physicists are telling us is that as we move through this quantum soup of possibility, the minute our vibrational frequency matches one of them, they lock into place. And through this law of creation, then become form. And we get to experience them, whether it's a parking space or the awareness where the key to the front door is, right? Or the good that we need financially, or health in our lives, or fill in the possibilities. That it all comes to us, through us, and it's ours to experience and enjoy as long as it is a fit. And the minute that it's not, ours is to let go and open up for that continual flow. Today, we're being called to view that interlocking of possibilities in a new way, to open ourselves up on this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, to rise up to the good that is coming towards us. In essence, what we're really being called to do is to give in to grace. To grace. In the traditional sense, grace is defined as the exercise of love, kindness, or goodwill, the disposition to benefit or serve another. In its traditional definition, grace is also defined in most often how we know it as the divine favor toward the human. The undeserved kindness or forgiveness of God, divine love. But that implies that there is a personalness to it, that the power itself is making a decision whether you or I should be given the act of grace. But in metaphysics, we know it's impersonal, that it simply is an energy that exists. It's infinite by nature. It's this ultimate, infinite, immortal sea of consciousness that we're swimming in that we're now calling quantum soup, right? And is just waiting there energetically to be a match for us. Grace, from a modern day perspective, is viewed differently than that old school concept of halos or the sky opening up. Grace comes from the Latin word gratia, meaning favor, charm, or thanks. Spiritual traditions from around the world each share a similar understanding of this word. For example, in Sanskrit, grace is akin to the word gnarti, which means he praises or call to invoke. In Christian terms, grace is defined as the infinite love, mercy, favor, and goodwill shown by God to humankind. In Judaism, the concept of grace is expressed by the Hebrew word hesed. Did I say that right, Wendy? Hesed, meaning mercy or loving kindness. Grace is seen as creative force, an act of exceptional kindness and goodness. And remember earlier I talked about the multiplicity of good unfolding through us. Lama Surya Das, author of Awakening the Buddha Within, and a leading Buddhist teacher, says, grace is the isness of life. And certainly in our philosophy faith, we've heard the isness and the nesses added to every word there is. But think about it for a second. Grace is the isness of life. It's the recognition, another word for remembrance, sea of consciousness, see where we're building. It's the recognition that everything is connected and sacred. The more in touch we are with this natural abundance of life, the less we need. To me, this author writes, grace is a kind of spiritual intelligence, a form of energy that comes from the source, from the divine. This energy is available to each and every one of us at any moment. When we connect and trust this higher power and follow its lead, we step into alignment with a larger vision for our lives. We wake up and suddenly become aware of signs, symbols, and messages that lead us to our higher good. Well, how do we arrive there? How do we arrive at a place where we can view our life from this perspective? Well, we do it by opening our eyes, both our human eyes and the eyes behind the eyes, as the Buddha says. And we open our heart. We open our heart to a new way of looking at ourselves and the world itself. All that's required of us is one decision. And that decision is to open, to make a choice. It's important for us to remember that, as Gary Zukov tells us, one of the mantras that I've shared with us over the years is choice is the engine of evolution. If you choose unconsciously, you will evolve unconsciously. If you choose consciously, you will evolve consciously. Choosing to evolve consciously is much better than unconsciously, and most often far less painful. He goes on to write, trust me, been there, done that. So you and I have before us right now the opportunity to make a choice that as we continue on this pathway of our life, to give in to grace. To grace. Joel Goldsmith, the 20th century American spiritualist and pretty much metaphysical hard ass, who teaches a program called The Infinite Way, which reveals the nature of God to be one infinite power, intelligence, and love, the nature of the individual being to be one with God's qualities and characters, much of what we teach here as well. But very direct. Goldsmith says to us, grace is not something that is given to us, or withheld from us. Grace is a state of being which comes into active expression the moment consciousness has been purified, meaning rid of toxic thinking, just as the law of gravity comes into operation when an object drops, a feather or an asteroid. The law of gravity is always present and in operation, but nothing happens until an object is released. Divine grace is forever present in our consciousness, but it cannot operate, that is, it cannot manifest or express in the presence of fear or hate. It cannot exist side by side with the belief of a selfhood apart from the divine, or an activity of substance or a law apart from God. We're on a journey, ladies and gentlemen, and we're on a journey to awaken spiritually to our own nature, to awaken in a way that as we live in grace and give into grace, we ultimately become more personally self-empowered in life. And to know that we are a critical piece of the puzzle. Dr. Holmes tells us that there must be, and there is, a universal consciousness in life which directly responds to our thought and in contact with it. Not only does the human heart long for such a possibility, but the human mind comprehends, understands, senses, feels, and knows it. And that there are moments when the individual consciousness feels itself merged with the universal. Then it knows and no longer asks for explanations. The heart longs for, the mind comprehends, and the intellect needs such a context. The influx of divine ideas stimulating the will to divine purposefulness. It's fundamental to our belief that there is a presence in the universe with which we may consciously communicate and which will consciously respond to such communication. The ball, the air, the bird, the lightning, the ground, the squeal, the fish, mouth open, ball, moves, whole in one. It's the grace of God. And so today, as you make a choice to open your mind in a new way, let this ring true from you. The difficulty is not so much in developing new ideas, but escaping from old ones. And so today, let's not even choose so much to escape from the old ones. James, can you come up, please? But begin to release those old ones. Let's remember that when I, the individual, dares to be powerful, to use our strength in the service of our vision to allow grace into our life, then it becomes less and less important whether or not we are afraid. I invite you to close your eyes. And take a deep breath in and exhale. Letting go of any fear and doubt, any sense, whether we're conscious of it or not, of unworthiness to the grace of the divine. Right now, a spiritual awakening is happening within and as, for and through each one of us. A spiritual awakening, which means that we're waking up to the presence of the multidimensionality of spirit as it works its wonder through us. We let go of the feelings or the desires or the needs to think that we have to make something happen. And to know that as we navigate our life step by step, thought by thought, action by action, reaction by reaction, and interaction by interaction, what is happening for us always is ball, water, fish, bird, lightning, ground, smack, mouth, open, ball, hole in one. Appearing to be separate experiences in action, but yet it's just the oneness of life, the fluidity of this interconnectedness of the good that exists in life itself, this immortal, infinite sea of consciousness that we're already one with. And so we let go of the old, feeling the power and the presence of the grace of God right now. Already we feel it doing its thing through us. We open to that. Already with a sense of excitement for what is showing up in our world as we move beyond this physical experience. And declare for ourselves we are evolving right here and right now. Letting life and the law do its thing. Awakened, alert, receptive, and tuned in because we know ourselves, we know our mind, and we accept who and what we are. Letting it be, as we say together, and so it is. Thank you, and so it is. Yes, and so it is. We're going to move things around a little bit right now and let James sing his song, The Man in the Mirror, because I think it's time for us to do that. Gravity.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. It's gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. See the kids in the street, not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top in a one-man's soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Na 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 na. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize there are some with no homes, not an eagle alone. Could it be really me pretending that they're not alone? A widow deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart in a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror, come on. And I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. You gotta get it right while you got the time, 'cause you can't close up your mind, your mind, your mind. You can't close up your mind, your mind, your mind. Alright, that's right. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
It's incredible. I love how the lyrics after my message seem to be so poignant, right, and on point, because it really does come down to us looking in the mirror and saying, am I willing to make a change?
Making that decision to open up.
Yeah, am I willing to make a change?
Of the old, yeah.
You know, and that looking in the mirror thing, you got to be open to it. Not only just because it's important, but also you can't start, the minute you look into it, you can't start judging, right? You got to look and go, there's a being a light, baby, perfect and whole and complete, just as is. I learned that many years ago, and I believe by the great Raymond Charles Barker, one of the old school components of our teaching. But I think it's important every day for us to do that, to literally look in the mirror as well as metaphorically, and to honor the force of life that is within us, and be ever so appreciative of it, not with fear that it one day may leave, because one day it shall, but to do our best that when it does and we go with it, that we have a totality of spiritual understanding and completeness, that it's just the journey, baby. It's just the journey. Yeah. On the journey right now, we have the opportunity before us to support our community financially. And so thank you all for being here to support our community. We have an opportunity right now to participate in the infinite flow of good in a more new and expansive way than just a traditional sense of conscious giving. We like to call it sacred circulation, consciously living in the flow. In the Bible, the book Matthew of the Bible, this is written: to be a good giver, you must be a good receiver. Freely you have received this morning, so freely give in gratitude. So once again, clearly we've all received, so let's come together and support by giving. Travis has a basket that he will hand over to one of you. If you can just pass it amongst yourselves in time to do that. If you're watching us online or would like to do it in person, you can support our community by going to our website and click on donate, and it'll take you through that. I invite you all to affirm with me as we give. Divine love moving through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have,
Blesses and multiplies all that I have,
all that I give, and
and
all that I receive. I am thankful. I am thankful for the good I have in my life. My life. Thank you. So, I think we're good. I threw our music off a little bit, but I think we're good right now. So I just want to remind you all that our next in-person service will be November 12th or 13th. What is it? 13th, I think. It's November. So please invite your friends. It's that weekend of November 12th and 13th, which is the week after we move our clocks in the direction that we're supposed to move them. I think it's fall back, right? Like a two-step dance. So let's all make sure that we do that. I want to remind you that we have on Wednesday mornings a midweek morning meditation. I know my words get weird at this stage in the service. It's because I've let God just speak through me, right? So now to try to form articulate words that need to be in some order is difficult. I'm just going to be really frank with you. That's difficult. It takes a little while for me to get back. It takes it difficult for me to get into the grounding and of gravity back in here. Okay. Wednesday morning, midweek morning meditation, 8:30 online. You can find that information on our website or through our weekly e-newsletter that goes out, which you can sign up for on our website. Our website is csl-la.org. You can also find us on the app in the App Store. Also, a daily text goes out each morning that's called A New Thought for the Day. If you'd like to receive that, you can also sign up for that in the various different places. A big thank you to James Harper for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Blessings are abundant by nature of this man, as he will also be our musician next week online. So a big thank you for those of you in the room and that'll be in person, that are online as well, and that will be there for us next Sunday to celebrate James as he's with us again online. All right. A big thank you to Travis Smith, our audio tech, the dude. And Robert Hensley, who takes care of us social media-wise and monitoring our Facebook, as well as our administrative assistant. You're welcome from me.
Indeed.
You know, I love it. I love doing this. And, you know, we're at a point where we're doing it one Sunday a month. And if we have expansion, when we have expansion, that we shall do more of that. Right now, through December, we're one Sunday a month. I'd like to close today with a guide for the week, something that was written by Dr. Ernest Holmes, and I'd like for it to be the guide for each and every one of us, and let it be the guide for us as we move on. He writes, our activity of thought is actually a divine compulsion of the one mind and us seeking an ever-increasing achievement and expression through us. We each interpret and use this urge for greater expression. Our lives and experiences may well be likened to a river. If we stand on the bank of a river and watch it flow by, we become aware that the river never changes, but that its content is always new. By comparison, we might say this purposeful, dynamic quality of life within us never changes, but the content of our experience of living never remains the same. Today, let's commit to using this power in a new way. And so it is. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. Glad you were here. Namaste.